What's up, everyone? Welcome to Power Play with CJ. Today we're going to talk a little bit about we talked about the debacle the Toronto Maple Leafs are in, but let's focus in on why they're there. Quite frankly, just you have so many years of just mismanagement by the front office in terms of awful contracts. David Clarkson, to a lesser degree, I don't want to call Phaneuf's and Kessel's contracts awful, but are they living up to them? No, they're not. And then I think more importantly, poor draft. And the thing of it is you traded away two top 10 picks to get Phil Kessel and a second round pick, but you traded away two top 10 picks to get Kessel, which Kessel's a fantastic player, going to average 35 goals a game, 35 goals a year, excuse me, 35 goals a game. The Leafs might be in a different situation, but obviously they turned out to be one of the better players in the NHL in Tyler Seguin, and then a rising young defenseman in Dougie Hamilton. Would you trade those guys for Kessel right now? I think you would. But again, they're kind of faceless draft picks. You make the trade. The premium on draft picks is at an all-time high, especially in a salary cap-driven league. And you get rid of two of them to get in a bona fide NHL goal scorer. That's fine. But that means the pressure is on to make sure you don't whiff on draft picks because you traded away two top ones. Now you got to be able to find value, in the later rounds of the draft. And quite frankly, they've been unable to do that. I mean, the 2011 and 2012, 2010, 2011 drafts, where they traded away the picks. Tyler Biggs, I've talked with him ad nauseum, really not developing the way they want him to. Brad Ross gotten some issues with performance enhancing something rather this weekend, about a week ago. They've combined for Stuart Percy. I think is a pretty good prospect still. He's got 8 games in the show. I just called him up I think yesterday for another stint. They got 28 games so far in the 2011 draft, and 14 games out of their 2010 draft. Again, you're only 4 and 5 years out respectively, but things are shaping up. You look at the other whiffs. Kenny Ryan, who was at BC for a day, then ended up in Windsor, turned into not much at all. They traded that second round pick. They drafted him in the second round. Really do much. Going a step further, they drafted Jimmy Hayes. Traded him for a second that they turned into Brad Ross. Jimmy Hayes, whether you like him or not, bona fide NHL player. We've talked about Biggs. Morgan Riley, I think, is the real deal on defense. I'm not going to go at him with him. But I know people are sour on Frederick Gauthier, that 2013 first round pick. That was a pretty good 2013 draft, and Gautier's got, I think, 18 points in 19 games in Rimouski. Really not producing offensively the way they thought he would. I think even back then, he projected to be a project two-way center. But, I know for a fact that there are some people that are not happy with the way he's producing. And you look at the guys that are taking after him. Shea Theodore, is a big-time player in the dub. Andre Burakovsky's been up with the Caps most of the season. Guys like that. So, I just think preach patience with him. I wouldn't write that kid off as a bust at all yet. But it's just something to keep in the back of your mind because, with all these draft picks that were completely whiffed on, the onus on hitting on picks gets higher and higher. This past year's draft, I think William Nylander's one hell of a player. Renat Valiev wasn't a bad pick out of the dub, and the other guys, VZ and McKinnon, guys like that, the New England college guys aren't bad, but there's a lot had to go wrong for the Leafs organization to get here. Now, are they still in a better situation than Toronto? Yeah, they are. Which, take pride in that. You haven't hit complete rock bottom, but it's still kind of an intriguing situation for the Leafs faithful because, a lot of the draft picks aren't living up to the hype. Now, Andreas Johnson for Lunda in the Swedish league is actually playing really, really well. He's a 7th round pick 2 years ago, but he's kind of been like the exception of the rule, and if the Leafs want to start rebuilding and building a consistent winner, not one playoff appearance every 10 years, they got to start hitting on these draft picks, And if you're going to trade them away to get bona fide talent, that's fine. But you've also got to be able to use the draft picks you hold on to and, go from there and, get some consistent NHL players. I mean, it's kind of a tough situation for the Leafs faithful. And unless Brendan Shanahan has some magic, it's not changing overnight. Unless he's got some magic beans that turn Tyler Biggs into Cam Neely and Frederick Gauthier into Vinny Lecavalier in his prime, It's not going to change. This season. We'll see what happens though. Anyway, that's an episode of the Power Play with CJ on the Leafs put draft and track record. It's the 2 more episodes for the season and beyond. Later, guys.